Yes, my friends, things are heating up behind the scenes with the Eagles, and in the last few hours, great news has arrived that could take us straight to the Super Bowl. Seriously, I'm really excited to see the Eagles back in the Super Bowl. If you believe we can get there, hit the like button hard, and if possible, write, "Go Eagles." Let's go to the Super Bowl. Our next game is on Saturday against the Commanders, and then on the 28th against the Bills. Nick Sirianni needs to get the team in shape to avoid losing those games. The last game against the Raiders was spectacular, and there's a reason the Eagles achieved that devastating victory. That was the most undeniable fact of the game: the defense. Vic Fangio's unit didn't just play well, it made history. The Eagles' defense didn't miss a single tackle. Think about it. The only team in the NFL this season to achieve such a feat. And they did this by limiting the Raiders to just 75 total yards of offense, the fewest in a Las Vegas game since Pete Carroll was 10 years old. That's not a joke, it's a fact. This was also the first shutout pitched by an Eagles defense since 2018, and their largest margin of shutout victory in 35 years. And it gets better. Vegas managed just 22 total yards after halftime. This wasn't just domination, it was surgical, and it happened with key starters like Jalen Carter still sidelined while recovering from a double shoulder procedure. Even without Carter, the defensive line terrorized Vegas. 4 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Brandon Graham, at 35 years old, notched 2 sacks in just 7 snaps, becoming the oldest Eagle ever to record a sack and a multi-sack game. He's now the 11th oldest player in NFL history to record 2 sacks in a single game. And you know what? He made it look easy. Rookies and rotational guys stepped up in a big way, too. Moro Ojomo flashed his athleticism. Jordan Davis continued to anchor the middle like a future All-Pro. And since the bye, 3 of the top 10 edge defenders in pressure rate across the entire league are Eagles: Nolan Smith, J.X. Hunt, and Jalen Phillips. This isn't luck. It's a system coming together. Vic Fangio has now coached 35 games with the Eagles and held opponents to 1 or fewer touchdowns in 13 of them. That's 37% of his games. Let that stat hit you like a Brandon Graham bull rush. The back end of the defense has been equally elite. Quinyon Mitchell has now allowed 10 or fewer receiving yards in coverage in 7 games this season, the most of any cornerback in the NFL. Cooper DeJean might be the best tackler on the team. Adoree Jackson has been a lockdown presence, and Marcus Epps has solidified the safety spot, especially with Andrew Mukuba sidelined until the playoffs. And then there's the linebacker duo of Nakobe Dean and Zach Bone, arguably the best in football. Bone's second interception of the season put him ahead of last year's All-Pro totals in sacks, INTs, and passes defended. But this wasn't just about defense. No, the offense finally woke up. Jalen Hurts put together his most efficient performance as a pro, completing 15 of 18 passes for 3 touchdowns with 0 turnovers. His EPA per play was the highest of his career. And what changed? Simplicity, efficiency, execution. The Eagles ran 30 plays from under center, finally. We've been begging for it. Under center looks helped unlock play action, kept defenses honest, and gave Hurts the time and space to do what he does best: make decisions with clarity and conviction. All 4 of Hurts's under-center passes were play action. He went 4 for 4 for 66 yards on those. It was a masterclass in how to make the most of tempo, formation variation, and rhythm. Patullo finally found the right sequencing. For a team that had spent most of the season trying to run inside zone on every play and spam hitches, this was like watching a different team. Even the opening drive was a statement. 13 plays, 67 yards, 9 runs, and a gorgeous shovel pass touchdown to Dallas Goedert. It looked like old-school Eagles football: physical, creative, balanced. And speaking of Goedert, he's already surpassed his single-season high in touchdowns with 9 and is on pace for a career best in receptions. The run game wasn't perfect, just 3.9 yards per carry. But let's not forget, the Raiders had the 9th best run defense coming in. What mattered was the commitment: 47 rushes to just 18 passes. It wasn't just game control, it was identity. The Eagles ran to set up the pass, and on a cold, windy day, It was the ideal script. Let's also talk about Hertz's impact beyond the stat sheet. He didn't just play a clean game. He led. He energized the huddle. He encouraged teammates. He silenced critics. Remember, some fans were calling for him to be benched just a couple of weeks ago. Now, he's the first Eagles QB ever to throw for 3 touchdowns with 3 or fewer incompletions in a game. The timing of his response, Week 15, just like last year when he shut up the doubters, is poetic. This team needed this win, not just to boost playoff positioning, but to establish trust in themselves and in this system. They are now 1 win or 1 Dallas loss away from clinching the NFC East and locking in a home playoff game. And if they get in, this version of the Eagles can go toe-to-toe with anyone. And just to emphasize how dominant the game was, no defensive player played more than 39 snaps. That rest is huge heading into a short week against Washington. Oh, and by the way, with Jaden Daniels out, Philly will be facing Marcus Mariota on Saturday. The path is wide open. This team is getting healthier. The schemes are clicking. The identity is taking shape on both sides of the ball. And now, they've got momentum. So, I've got to ask, after seeing this performance, after watching Hurts silence his critics, and Fangio's defense shut out a team for the first time in 5 years, after seeing this team finally lean into its strengths, how are you feeling about the Eagles now? Are we ready for the playoffs? What do you think?